Hi my friends in the art room. I'm sending you this video about what you're doing for the month of September because I think it might be a little bit easier for you if you can just see things visually. So here's what's up. You are making little sculptures this month, little paper sculptures where the kids will cut out shapes with different kind of retro colors, and then they'll be putting them together. So before I tell you about doing that, let me just tell you a little bit about your introductory activity. If you see behind me, my husband made us a huge wooden one with pieces. So you'll start by having those pieces laid out flat and letting the kids come together and create whatever kind of sculpture that they want to create. So don't have it on this table. Move those pieces over to their working area so that they can create a sculpture. If you have a really large class and they can't really work on a sculpture together, then I'm also going to put into your room some other things like Legos or Tinker Toys, that kind of thing. It's a little young for them, but you'll want them to just work on building sculptures for a little bit as a team. And the way that you'll get the boys a little more engaged with this one, it's interesting enough, I think, that they'll have some fun with it. If they have to use one of the other ones because your class is large, challenge them with either building it as tall as they can, or challenge them by having them build it from one stool to another so that it bridges. I think in that way you'll get them to actually engage in creating a sculpture. So that's your opening activity. Also too, once you see if you have time, if they're tired of their activity and you still have some time remaining, because you want your opening activity to take maybe 12 or 13 minutes or so, then you can rotate them so that they all get a chance to goof around with these. I'm hoping that they can all get a chance to do that. So you see that they're all flat pieces that they construct into a sculpture. That's the same thing that you're going to be doing when you create your sculptures. Before you create your sculpture, though, after this activity, you'll be telling your story. And when you tell your story, I have that attached for you. It's typical for what you normally do, where you're reading the scripture and you're asking questions. But I want to talk to you for a minute about the point of your story. The series that we're working on for the next 3 months is happiness. Dave's going to be teaching about happiness. It's one of his. He's really excited about this series, and I've been hearing some great things from people who are reading his manuscript that it's one of the best things that he's done. So I think you're going to like it, and I hope our kids like this. So your focus is about happiness, and the lesson that I gave you comes out of Psalm 1, which talks about the man who's blessed. And if you didn't know, in the Old Testament, when you see the word blessed, the best translation really that we have for it is happy. So we learn about what kind of man is a happy man. And you'll be learning that out of Psalm 1. And you'll learn from that the man who is happy is the person who has their roots deep in God. So in that psalm, they talk about the happy person being rooted in like a big, huge tree by the water. And the wicked person who doesn't love God is unhappy because they're like chaff that just blows away. So it's the difference between stability and instability. That's why we're doing sculptures that are really hard. They're hard to keep stable, okay? So back to the sculpture thing now. When you're done with your story, one of the things that you're going to want to point out to the kids is that they have to start their sculpture with these heart-shaped, like skinny heart-shaped pieces. If they don't start it with the right piece, this is called your base, okay? And you'll notice that you need 2 of these as your starting legs for your sculpture. They really could use different ones. If they're real smart, they'll figure that out. But try not to let them be really frustrated, and just tell them to use 2 of these pieces for their base. Likewise, when they're playing this game at the beginning, make them use 2 heart-shaped pieces for their base. So then, getting the kids to make their very own paper sculpture with colors. So you have this paper sculpture, and what you want the kids to do is they're going to choose these colorful papers that are all set out for you. so you've got like these kind of retro paper designs, and then they'll pick up the paper and then they get a template. All of them need to make sure that they cut out 2 of the bases. So they're going to share these templates, pass these templates around the room, and cut out, don't cut out this many, it's too many, okay? You want them to cut out 2 bases and maybe 4 other shapes, and that will be enough for them. So 2 bases, 4 shapes, that's already a lot of cutting out for some kids. And then it also shows them in the various shapes suggested places for putting their notches. So they'll cut it out and then they'll put their notches in it as well. And after they've cut things out, then they put their 2 bases together and they add their other shapes in whatever way that they want. It's a little hard to do. It's not going to be simple for them. The paper tends to want to kind of fold. You got to play with it a bit. They might want to tape a bit. And you might need to, with the younger kids, you may need to help them tape on at least their base pieces so that they get a good solid place for things to sit down. But before they tape these, you're going to put keywords up on your whiteboard from your lesson, and it says that in your lesson. You'll have keywords on your whiteboard from your lesson, and those keywords will be written on these pieces of paper, 1 keyword per shape. So it will be a sculpture of the kinds of things that make people happy. If you have time when that's done, and I don't know if you will have time, but if you have time when that's complete, one of the things that you can do is you can talk about the difference between 2D art and 3D art. And 3D art, we call them sculptures. That's the word that we usually use for a 3D art. So you can take them on a little tour of the church and ask them to identify the 3D art or the sculptures that we have in our church. And you'll find them by looking up, like at the flip-flop sculpture that hangs. You'll find them around by the bathrooms with the frame sculpture over there. And you'll find them in our brand new cross garden. So you can take them for a walk in the cross garden too and talk about those sculptures. That'll be a really good closing activity for you. If you find that the kids are frustrated putting their sculptures together, allow them to take them home flat and work on them there as well and get a little help from their parents. They should be able to be sent home flat. I'll leave you envelopes for that. So if you have any questions, shoot me an email and I'm happy to answer. Thanks. Bye, you guys.